All right, friends, so we are here to review Module 9. We've done quite a bit of good work and learning with this, and now we're going to kind of bring all of those literacy skills together. We're going to do a sample of the activity you're going to do with this. When you do it, you're going to go ahead and see, you'll pull up this Module 9 review, you'll make a copy of it. There's a text link right here. You will do the central idea. We're not going to go over this part in this video because we've done a bajillion times. You guys are really getting good with central idea. Make sure that all of your supporting details make sense with that central idea, that they support it. And then the part that we're going to go over in this video is this. So continuing to work on our applying our skills when we do a multiple choice assessment, and not only finding the answer, but also thinking, why is that answer correct? So let's take a look at a couple. So we're going to use a passage that we've read before, the founding of the Appalachian Trail. Remember, we read about how people such as the naturalist John Muir and Theodore Roosevelt, they wanted to go ahead and start protecting those lands. And so that's how the National Parks and Forests started. And the Appalachian Trail Conservancy was started, and the local hiking clubs created it. Okay, so we've read this passage. Let's say definitely for me, I've reread it before I did this video. So now let's look at some of the questions. I want to start with number 2. It's a right there question. So number 2, a conservationist is a person who, all right, so when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking in my mind, let me go ahead and get out my highlighter. I'm thinking in my mind that it's going to be C. From what I've read, I'm pretty sure it's going to be C, a person who works to protect the environment. Now, before I actually put C, I'm going to go on back and I'm going to find out if that's true or not. Okay, so when I'm looking at my passage, I need to find the word conservationist. Okay, I'm going down. Okay, I found the word conservationist. Let's see if my definition works. Okay, so here's the conservationist. What do I know the conservationist wants to do? Well, it wants to bring attention to the goal of protecting unspoiled lands. Okay, so if I put in, let's see, people such as the naturalist John Muir and the person who wants to protect lands, Theodore Roosevelt, helped bring attention to the goal of protecting unspoiled lands. Does that make sense? It sure does. There's my text evidence for that question. It's absolutely C. It wouldn't make sense for me to put like B saves money in a bank, because would it make sense if I said people such as the naturalist John Muir and the person who saves money at the bank, Theodore Roosevelt, help bring attention? No, it doesn't make as much sense. So that's how I not only answered number 2, but I also found the text evidence from it. Okay, let's do 2 more. So let's look at number 4. So the Appalachian Trail stretches from, okay, let's say as I'm reading this question, like, you know what, honestly, I can't remember. So let's go back in my text. I'm trying to find where the Appalachian Trail stretches from. Okay, I'm looking, excuse me, looking. Okay, so here's where we start talking about the Appalachian Trail. Let's see. Oh, okay. The plan was to create a 2,175-mile-long hiking trail along the Appalachian Mountains, stretching all the way from Georgia to Maine. Okay, there's my text evidence. I have found it. That supports this answer. I know it's from Georgia to Maine. So, which one is it? The state of Georgia to the state of Maine. It would be B. Let's look at one more. Okay, so the work of people such as John Muir and Theodore Roosevelt, who brought attention to the goal of protecting land, led to what? Okay, so as I'm looking through these answers, I know it's not the failure of the Appalachian Trail Conservancy because it's talking about all the great stuff of it. It's also, I know it's not the development of the land because their whole goal was protecting land. Okay, so now it's in between A or D in my mind. Let's find text evidence that will actually help me find this. Okay, so the work of people such as John Muir and Theodore Roosevelt. I'm going back to my passage. Make sure I click the right button. Okay, back to my passage. Okay, of Theodore. Okay, so here we are right here. So I'm looking, okay, and so it talked about their work of John Muir and Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, what happened because of them? Okay, so they were bringing attention. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this in a different color. So they were bringing attention to it, and what happened? Oh, by the early 1900s, the country had set aside large areas to be protected as national parks and forests. So because they brought this attention, then the country had set aside large areas to be protected as national parks and forests. Okay, so I know that that's what happened. The country had set aside large areas to be protected as national parks and forests. Now, let's go on back and see which answer best matches that. Well, it would definitely be A, right? The creation of national parks and forests. All right, friends, so that was a model of how we should be solving these. Notice that was 3 questions, and right now our video is about to be on 6 minutes. So this should take you the entire class period, or at least a good 30-40 minutes. You are not able to do this in 5 minutes, like some of you try to do 15 questions in 5 minutes. That's why you guys are not getting them correct. So make sure that you're reading that question carefully, that you're thinking about what answer it is, that you're finding the text evidence for the answer, and then finally you're choosing the answer that best matches that. As always, let me know how I can support.